Good afternoon to my spirited living friends. Deborah Roth here in our weekly date with our goddess team, where we dance with the divine feminine, which exists, as I always say, within every one of us, no matter our gender, male, female, or however you identify. And I kind of switched things up this week. If you get my newsletter, I talked about the fact that I thought we were going to be welcoming in Amaterasu, the Japanese goddess, who represents the return of the light, one of the many goddesses that's a sun goddess. But Yemaya was just calling to me. So Yemaya is that, and that's the pronunciation. She goes by several different names. She is one of the Yoruban goddesses from Africa, who was brought here by the slaves, by enslaved people. And in Africa, she was known as Yemanja. In the Spanish name for her is Yemaya. And then in Brazil and Cuba, she's known as Yemanja. And there are huge celebrations, which is why I needed to bring her in this week. There are huge celebrations around her, to her, offerings to her on New Year's Eve, on December 31st. And like many of the goddesses, or in this case Orishas, Orishas are the goddesses and gods, deities from the Yoruban tradition, she has celebration days, she has festival days several times during the year. We might bring her back in the summer solstice. That's often when I have her here. She's actually one of the first goddess figures when I first started doing my work with the goddess, with the divine feminine. She was one of my first goddess figures that I got when I discovered how prevalent she was and how beloved she was. So this is kind of hard to see. She does have a fish at her feet. Yemaya, Yemanja is one of the powerful mother goddesses. Here's another representation of her that really shows her connection to, get it so you can all see it, to the ocean. She is a mother goddess. She is a goddess of water, of the oceans, particularly in this hemisphere. And it was more rivers when she was still in Africa as Yemanja. Yemaya. So I excuse the pronunciations. I'm doing my best. It really is. She's really a wonderful example of how she's been embraced by so many different cultures, and definitely out of the Afro-Brazilian tradition, where last New Year's Eve, apparently upwards of 3 million people gathered on the beaches to make offerings to her. Clearly, sadly, that will not happen this year. But one of the ways that they do that is they send flowers off. They throw them into the ocean and let the waves carry them out. And they send little boats or votive candles, candelaria they call them, with food offerings and all kinds of offerings for her. And they send them out on the waves. And the idea is that if they are indeed sent out, if they go out into the ocean, then Yemaya is accepting your offerings. If they get washed back to shore, she's rejecting them. So you might try that. Depends on how much current you have and any oceans that are nearby. But she is celebrated in big time, and I hope there's some way that the countries that particularly Brazil, Cuba, that do honor her on New Year's Eve can find some way to do that. So I invite all of us to honor our brothers and sisters who are celebrating Yemaya tomorrow night on New Year's Eve, to do your own Yemaya offering, perhaps throwing some flowers into a nearby river if you're not near an ocean. She is also the goddess, the Orisha, one of several, who is a protector of women, of fertility, of childbirth, of children. She's the overseer of change, which is such a perfect time for this time of year as we move into a new year, into a new calendar year. And she she guides us, she holds us and protects us as we move through this change into a new year. What else do I want to tell you her? Oh, she's often depicted as a mermaid. I have a couple mermaids around here, and associated with the feminine mysteries, as I said, with childbirth, with giving birth, with fertility. Her first gift to her beloved humans was a seashell, so that we could always listen to her song, so we could always listen to her voice. So think of Yemaya when you pick up a wonderful, and I've got a couple beautiful ones here, a big conch shell, or any kind of big shell that you can hear the ocean and you can hear the voice of Yemaya. There is also, I'm thinking of going to pull it out tomorrow night on New Year's Eve, so since there won't be any big partying going on around here. I would love to tell you about this movie, and it's pretty old at this point, called Woman on Top, with Penelope Cruz. And throughout the movie, she calls on Yemaya to guide her in this business and in her life that she's growing. And it includes this beautiful depiction of the sending out of these offerings into the waves. And it's fun. I mean, it's not high art, but I just remember loving it and never forgetting it. And I'm telling you about it, and hopefully it's a good one, because I haven't seen it in years. But it certainly is apropos, and certainly is a wonderful way to celebrate her at this time. I think that's all all the kind of facts that I want to give you right now, in terms of who she is, what she does. If you have right now, and this I suspect is also apropos for many of you who have children at home, either young children or older children, she, as part of her gift to women, she offers guidance with parenting and with your children. So this might be a nice time to do a meditation and how to be a more patient, a more loving, a more fill-in-the-blanks kind of parent, depending on how old your kids are. So what I would love to do is lead you, what's the chant I was going to do? One of my favorite chants, and those of you that have circled with me, this is going to be familiar to you. And it really captures the notion that we are all connected to the goddess. We are all connected to Yemaya, to the ocean, and this is how it goes. So you can close your eyes and take it in, and then just keep singing it. It goes like this. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of water flowing to the ocean. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of water flowing to the ocean. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of water flowing to the ocean. Carry that with you. Flow with Yemaya as we enter this new year, leaving 2020 behind for most of us with great relief, even though we may be able to acknowledge some of the unexpected blessings and gifts that came out of this year. It was uniformly a tough one for most of us in many ways. So call on Yemaya to help you transition into the new year, and we will be doing some special candle magic in a couple weeks on the new moon on January 12th, which we do every year. We do candle magic. We carve into candles to set our intentions for the new year. No resolution making here. And you can find out more about that on my Facebook page, Deborah Roth at Spirited Living, Spirited Living with Deborah Roth. So I wish you every blessing, every peace, every moment of renewal that you can draw into yourself as we end this year and begin the next. And I'm happy to support you in any way. I have lots of fun worksheets and things to journaling and to think about and to play with as we move into the new year. And above all, right now, really embrace the energy of Yemaya and her flow, her connection to the ocean, in her role, in her persona as the archetype of mother, of protecting and guiding us through this change, through these enormous changes that we're in right now. Namaste. Thank you for being with me. And until next time, bye for now.